Hey y'all, welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, my name is Deidre Anderson and you can find me all over the internet under Deidre Writes Romance. Now today is week 11 of our Tropey Wednesdays romance tropes videos and we will be discussing some interesting tropes. So if you want to learn more about romance tropes, how to use them, how to use them properly so that your readers remain engaged and get some tips for using them, this is the video for you. So go ahead and hit that subscribe button so you can follow along on my journey and the tropes and every video that I put out here to be informational for you. Hit that like button so I know that you like the content that I'm putting out, and ding that bell so you can know each and every time that I post a video. Now, we will be discussing 5 new tropes, so if you want to hear more about those, stick around. All right, welcome back. Now, today we'll be discussing military, office romance, on the road, on the rocks, and orphan. If you see me looking down, it's because I'm looking at my computer. So just bear with me. All right, now let's dive right in. The first trope we'll be discussing is military. And as the name suggests, it just means that at least one or more of your protagonists have been involved in the military. Now, this can be the Army, it can be Navy SEALs, it can be the Marines, doesn't matter. Or if you're going outside of the US, it could be the military, whatever military force is in that country as well. So it just means that military is involved, right? And this, of course, comes with its own level of requirements because someone that's been in the military, they've been to war, they have been through a whole lot, all right? And that baggage travels with them. So the way they interact with the world, the way they see people around them, the way they respond to certain situations will be different. And you want to ensure that you're taking this into account in everything that that person does. If they have family members, maybe they have kids that they've not seen or they don't get to see very often, lean into this. You want to give the reader the feel, the sense of what it is to be a veteran, right? It is a respected role. However, it does come with its own level of challenges. And you want to lean into that and ensure that you're approaching it mindfully, right? You don't want to be disrespecting any veterans out here. We value all their service and they work hard to protect the country, right? So you want to ensure that you're doing them justice. Now, I don't read a lot of military romances. I mostly watch them. So the suggestion or the example that I have, if you want to see this trope done well, is actually a Hallmark movie. It's called Holiday for the Heroes. I loved this movie. It essentially has Egan, and I forgot what the male protagonist's name was, but essentially the male protagonist is in the military. He's in the army. He's gone off to do 2 tours in Afghanistan, and Egan is basically his pen pal. She sends him letters. They build a friendship over letters, sending letters back and forth, and so he tells her what's going on while he's over there in the military, and that there are so many people there that don't have family writing them, don't have friends, don't have pen pals, and they're all alone. And Egan comes together and she sends him goodie bags. She starts sending goodie bags to all the people there, and he shares them with everyone. And they start to build this relationship without even ever meeting each other, right? So when he gets discharged from the current tour he's on, he decides to go to Egan's small town to meet her, right? He sent her a letter, but she doesn't get the letter before he gets there. So it's a whole mood, it's a whole time, and they go through a whole lot together, right? They end up, I won't give you the whole plot of the story, but they end up in a relationship. That's not a spoiler. And they go through the ups and downs of dating someone in the military, all right? So if you want to see that trope done really well, go ahead and check out Holiday for the Heroes. It's a Hallmark movie. I'll leave the link below if I can find it so that you can check it out. It can be rented or it comes on Hallmark almost every Christmas and every maybe July-ish, and you may be able to find it on the Hallmark YouTube channel. So I'll look around and see if I can find a link to it for you, and I'll drop it below. Now, the second trope we'll be discussing is a popular one and one of my favorites. It's office romance. Now, this is not exactly what you may think it is. It's not only where I see this a lot is that it's boss and employee, but office romance can be so much more. And office romance is essentially just a romance between people that work together. That can be anyone in the office. It can be between co-workers, it can be between boss and employee, but it can also be the janitor and the HR rep. It can be anyone as long as they work together in the same office. They're seeing each other every day. They're working together to achieve goals, external goals for their organization. That's all it is. Now, this too comes with its own challenges. There are many organizations that have rules against employees dating, many organizations that have they've set up structures where you have to report the relationship. So all of these things come into play. You have to keep it in mind and create your own world and your own rules that they will be encountering, right? If it's the boss and it's the employee, you have to make sure that you don't have that struggle of power being held over the person's head, right? You don't want to use your relationship to influence anything that you do in the workplace. And if they're employees, you have to consider what's going to happen if they should split, right? What is pushing them apart from being together every day? Are they working real close together? What will happen when they have an argument? Things like this you have to think about, and it creates a good time because there's all the tension. I love tension. I love the drama. You know I love the drama. So it creates a lot of circumstances that will pose for a very interesting romance. So if you want to dive into office romances, a good place for you to start, in my opinion, would be Naughty Boss by Whitney G. Now, this is a short read. You can speed through it, but Whitney G is one of my favorite authors. She knows what she's doing with building tension, with putting your people in situations that you think about. So it basically follows a billionaire mogul and his new assistant. And it's a short read. I can't really tell you a lot about what goes on into it because anything I say at this point would be a spoiler. But just know it's a boss employee. It's a boss and his assistant. The assistant rubs him in all the wrong ways that turns out to be the right ways. That's all I can say. I'll drop the link below. Check it out. You won't be disappointed. Now, the third trope we'll be discussing is on the road. This is a trope I don't read a lot. You tend to see it a lot in celebrity romances, or you tend to also see it in road trip romances. I don't read it a lot. I don't go on a lot of road trips, so I find it hard to relate to them. But the trope is essentially they're on the road. They are on a road trip. They're on tour. They are confined together in a vehicle on the road is what it is, right? The example that I gave last week for fake dating could also be used for this-ish. If that was a Faking It by Kate Bloomberg, because while they're in a fake relationship in that book, they are forced to go on an inter-country, is that a word? Anyways, they're forced to travel through different states in the US doing a press promotional tour. So they are forced together on the road. In that sense, if you want to look at it that way, you could use that same example. But if you want to find direct on the road trip romances, I suggest just doing a quick search on Goodreads or Amazon. I did find a bunch of them, but I don't feel comfortable recommending something that I've not read or watched. So I don't know if I can get behind them or not, or if I would even like them because I haven't actually read them myself. But you can feel free to check out. There are tons of them on Goodreads, tons of them on Amazon. So you can go ahead, just search for on the road romances, and you'll get a bunch of them to choose from. All right, now number 4 is On the Rocks. Now this is not very self-explanatory, so I'll dive a little bit deeper into this one. On the Rocks starts out with your protagonist already in a relationship. Now, this relationship is the same relationship that you will be focusing on for the entire novel, right? They start in a relationship, but they're on rocky roads. They're on the rock. So if they're already married, they're on the verge of a divorce. If they're already in a relationship, they're on the verge of breaking up. There's something in the relationship that is already pushing them apart. So essentially turn the beats on their heads, right? The original beat sheet, following the original beat sheet, your third act, the breakup is generally in the third act, right? But you're flipping the script for this trope. So they start out in a relationship. They start out in a relationship they actually want to be in, but they're having issues. They're on the rocks. They're constantly fighting. They're feeling undervalued. They're feeling underappreciated. And so they break up in act one. Right? So that romance follows them finding themselves, coming back together, coming back to be one, right? Fighting for that relationship because that's what the relationship they want to be in. And you follow their journey, going back and forth, trying to rediscover each other, essentially, right? The book that I think does this really, really well is Love Her or Lose Her by Tessa Bailey. That book that book, it really grips at your heartstrings, right? It starts out with a couple being married. We see the female protagonist. She's working at a cologne shop, right? So she's the person that sprays cologne on you in the mall. Basically just sprays you and you go and you smell to sample, right? She gives out cologne samples, and she's just so used to not being appreciated at home that someone comes up to her, this good-looking gentleman. She sprays the cologne and they form up a conversation, and that strikes something in her that makes her feel better than she's done in years, right? And that basically starts a downward spiral quickly when she gets home, because she now realizes she's seeing everything that she's going on at home, and she's realizing even more that she deserves better. She's not being treated well. So she files for divorce, they break up, right? Now, of course, this is a romance. So the male protagonist does not sign those divorce papers, but he now realizes that, hey, he's losing the love of his life and he has to brush up. So he goes out of his way to fall in love with his wife all over again. They're living apart. They're not living together. So it's like they're dating again, right? And they're rediscovering new things about each other, and they're reminding each other of things that only they know, right? And a lot of things ensue that make you learn more about them and root for them even more. And it's just a really, really impactful and emotional romance that I think you should really check out if you're interested in this trope. So that's Love Her or Lose Her by Tessa Bailey. All right, now the final trope that we'll be discussing is Orphan. This is also another trope that I am wary about because it's often not done very well. But essentially, it's that one of your protagonists or both your protagonists grew up in foster care, or they become orphaned. It's two different ways that I've seen it done, right? And that alone comes with a lot of challenges, but you have to be mindful that these are real life situations and they're very triggering for people. So you have to approach them with caution, right? But you dive into all of the things that may have happened to your protagonist while in the foster care system or while being an orphan on the streets, or basically what they went through, right? And how that affects them emotionally and how that makes them interact with people that they may be in a relationship with. Now, your other protagonist is, or even if your other protagonist was in the foster care system as well, they basically becomes the yin to their yang, right? They help them heal essentially while they are coming together, and over that compassion that they're felt, that love that they're feeling, that acceptance brings them closer together and helps them basically form a successful relationship. Now, I'll be honest, I have not seen this done very well very often. And so I don't have the only thing I could recommend you here is the work in progress that I have, and I'm not ready to announce that yet. So stay tuned. You may have a good recommendation for this coming up. But if you want to see the sudden orphan trope, the part of it that they become orphaned in the first part of the book, then you can check out Credence. I'm hot and cold with Credence by Penelope Douglas because it's also technically sort of a why choose romance, but not really a why choose romance because she does eventually choose. And I'm just a little bit weary. It's on the darker side, so I'm a little bit weary recommending that one per se because it's not for everyone. So if you're going to check that out to see the orphan that becomes orphaned in the first chapter of the book and moves on to find love, then check the trigger warnings before you dive into that. And I honestly cannot think. I scoured the internet, right? Again, there are a bunch of romance novels that I see out there with the orphan trope, but I can't recommend them because I haven't read them. And this trope has been done badly so often that I couldn't just pick one out of a hat. But you can go ahead and go on the search, and if you find any that you think are good or you know of any that are already good, drop them down in the comments below and I'll check them out, right? But that is the orphan trope. Again, if you're going to be writing about this, approach it with care, be mindful of others, and add trigger warnings if you veer on the darker end. All right, so those are the 5 tropes that I have to discuss today. Again, they were military, office romance, on the road, on the rocks, and orphan. As usual, I'll drop them down below with any recommendations that I included and links to where you can find them below. Now, let me know if you enjoyed this video. Did you learn anything? Have you written any of these tropes? And do you plan on writing any of these tropes? Do you have any further recommendations that I could check out? Drop them in the comments below and let's start a discussion. Now, if you like this video, go ahead and hit that like button. Subscribe to my channel to follow along and get more informative videos like this. Hit the notification bell so that you can be notified each and every time that I upload. Again, my name is Deidre Anderson. I am a romance author. I write about Black women and the men who love them. So if that's your gig, follow along. Until next time, guys, bye. Be kind to one another and treat everything with love. Talk to you in the next one.